I just watched Scream 7, and I hate to say this, but it is the worst movie in the franchise. Spoilers ahead, at least later in the video. I'll give you a heads up again. So it goes without saying this movie was kind of going through the ringer before it ever even came out. There was production drama behind the scenes with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega getting dropped. At the end of the day, they didn't return. I'm a big fan of 5 and 6. I think that's a hot take, or I'm in the minority on that, but I thoroughly enjoyed both. But as a longtime fan of this franchise, I did not let that cloud my judgment. I went in open-minded. I was hoping for this to be a banger. And when it comes down to it, this movie's just not all that interesting. Like, the main group of characters, specifically the kids, have little to no chemistry, and I'm not really bought into any specific character. So when the carnage happens, I'm not really invested when characters get picked off. And I hate to say this, because I think Sidney Prescott's great in some of the earlier Scream films, but as a character, is there really that much meat on the bone left with her? I feel like we've kind of done everything we can. We've almost exhausted all options with this character. There's just not much going for her. I feel like it's a rehash at this point with everything going on with her in her life. Of course, she's an iconic character in this franchise, but it was probably time to move on. She doesn't need to be the focus of every single movie, in my opinion. The movie also gets into some serious trouble as it tackles AI, and whenever that happens, you're bound to have a mess of a movie, and there are so many things left unexplained that really make no sense at all in the end. The pacing of the movie's off as well for a Scream film. Of course, there's the opening kill, but after that, it kind of screeches to a halt for a bit. Now, I am going to talk spoilers from here on out, so if you haven't seen it and you don't want to know anything, skip this part. But I'm about to talk about the Ghostface reveals, and I think by far, and everyone will probably agree, this movie contains the worst Ghostface killers in the franchise. So the whole movie's setting us up to want to believe that, oh, the killer is a version of Stu, whether it's AI or he's still alive and somewhere out there. But one of the Ghostface killers is ultimately revealed to be Jessica Bowden, played by Anna Camp from Pitch Perfect, a character who's maybe in the movie for 3 minutes prior to this reveal. And the other Ghostface killer is one of the workers, like the assistants from the mental institution she was once in. Of course, this is how Stu connects to everything because he also was allegedly in that home. But I can't make this up. People in my theater were groaning, laughing. It was bad, guys. By the time the credits rolled, so many things felt rushed and just inconsequential. I thought back, I was like, who exactly created this AI tech? What was the point of the opening scene? There were so many questions unanswered and things that just made zero sense. Now, of course, there were still some signature Scream kills. One in particular in a bar might be a top tier kill in the franchise. It's gnarly. But overall, this movie didn't have the juice. It was weak, and I hate to say that as someone who thoroughly enjoys all the other movies, 3 kind of excluded. This was straight up weak for a Scream movie. I should never be calling it boring, uninteresting, or lame. But here we are. That's Scream 7 for you. Again, I went in open-minded, but it was a real big bummer.